I said, guess who's back? Man, guess who's back? I said, guess who's back? What's going on, guys? It's Backchat TV. So, we're going to be talking about the Day of Reckoning. That's what they've called this massive event that's going to be going on Saturday, December the 23rd, a little over a month now. We've got the world's best, some of the world's best fighters, most popular fighters on the same event, one after the other. And I think the Saudis have done an amazing job to get this, to get all these great fighters and promoters all in the same room, essentially, to put together this fight, this event. We've got the likes of Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, unfortunately not fighting each other, but on the same card. We've got Daniel Dubois fighting the loud, big mouth, brash, arrogant, big baby steroid Miller. He obviously coming off a steroid ban. I was gonna say he's just come off steroids. I don't know if he is off steroids. Let's see if he passes the drugs test. But yeah, he's just come back from a ban. Let me know what you think about that. Should he have had a life ban for the amount of steroids that were found in his system, or does he deserve a second chance? But that's another conversation for another time and another video. I do have some strong feelings about Miller, but we'll get into that one. But it's a great card. I think it's a great event. I think that it's exciting for boxing fans to see, you know, your favourite fighters all fighting together. Although they're not all fighting the kind of competition that maybe we would have liked to see them fight. Nevertheless, there is some good competition. There are some competitive fights, and there are some not so competitive fights. So a little bit good and bad. I'm going to be talking about the positives and the negatives of this event. So there are some positives. Let's talk about the positives first. There are some positives of this event. You've got a lot of top fighters all in the same event. We have Anthony Joshua coming off a really good demolition job in his last fight of Robert Helenius. That was a good knockout. Some people say that he got hit, but you know, you can't please everyone. He got the knockout, so that was the important thing. And I think he's on a bit of a roll now, Anthony Joshua. So he's looking good. I think he's only going to improve from that last performance. We have Anthony Joshua fighting Otto Walling. Now, Otto Walling, not many people, a lot of casual fans, you could say, may not know him, but you know, he is a good boxer, quite a technical boxer. He tends to be quite disciplined. He's not that exciting. He's not that explosive. He tends to stay behind a good jab, and you know, he's a solid opponent, I would say. Good fighter. I don't think he's on Anthony Joshua's level. I think Anthony Joshua will get rid of him, and the proof is there, you know, as well, because Anthony Joshua beat Otto Walling, I think, twice in the amateurs, and I don't think he's going to have much difficulty beating Otto Walling, to be honest. But he will give him a test. Otto Walling will definitely give Anthony Joshua a test. They know each other quite well. Otto Walling is also coming off a really good win where he beat Gassiev. Gassiev is not really a heavyweight though, but you know, it's going to be a good starting point for his confidence against Anthony Joshua and his chances against Anthony Joshua. So, I mean, the reason why I'm saying this is I'm trying to kind of assess how competitive these fights are. I mean, there's one thing getting some good fighters all on one card, but are they competitive? This is the issue. And this is the probably like the main criticism of the Day of Reckoning event is the competitiveness. Some of the matchups don't really make sense because obviously if they're not competitive, then what's the point, you know? And you could kind of say that about some of these fights. I'm just going to run through a few of them and give a very quick prediction of what I think, which will kind of give an indication of whether they're competitive or not. You've got the likes of Frank Sanchez on the card. They've done a great job getting all these guys on this event, to be honest. But like I said, you've got Frank Sanchez fighting a guy Far, or whatever his name is. He's not very well known, and Frank Sanchez is extremely good fighter, very skilled, Cuban, good boxer. He can fight on the back foot, but he can be aggressive as well. I don't see him losing to this unknown guy. You know, I've seen a few videos of the guy he's fighting just to check out who he is. I literally had to watch a few videos just to check out who he was, and the first video I watched was of him getting knocked out by somebody. I don't think Frank Sanchez is going to have much trouble with this guy. Having said that, the last fight that Frank Sanchez had, he got wobbled in that fight. So, you know, it could happen. We've got Hrgović. Now, a lot of people know Hrgović, a well-known fighter, very skilled, good boxer. I wouldn't say great, but I would say he's a good boxer. There's something about him, I'm not sure what it is, but he always gives me this impression that he could be a lot better than he is. I don't know why. It's not like he doesn't try. I think he's really skilled, good boxer, good power, very smart in the ring. But I just feel like he needs something else to take his career to the next level. I don't know if it's a different trainer, if he needs to be in better shape. You know, just someone to get him a little bit motivated or something. I'm not sure. Let me know what you think if I'm talking nonsense. But every time I watch Hrgović, I always see someone who just seems like he's putting in 50% of his effort. It's like he could be better somehow. I don't know why. I feel like maybe he needs to either change trainer or maybe get better sparring that can get him up to the level that he should be at, because I think he's got bags of talent, to be honest. He's got bags of talent. Definitely think he can do much better, Hrgović, but he's fighting a guy, Demori, another guy. People don't really know this guy very, very well. One thing I like about this Demori that I saw in the press conference is he seems very genuine. He is coming to have a go. You know, he's really coming to fight, give his all, give his best. He's not coming to lie down against, you know, a top-ranked heavyweight like you would expect someone to be. Although this Demori could be considered as a journeyman, he's definitely looking at it in a way of his opportunity to get in the ranks and get a big scalp, you know, if he can beat Hrgović. And he seems like someone who's really not just coming for the payday, you know, which was quite surprising. When I heard him speak, I was like, this guy's really coming to fight. Unfortunately, enthusiasm doesn't equal, you know, winning. And so I don't see this Demori guy having much chance against Hrgović. So I would expect Hrgović to win that fight. We've got Bivol versus Lyndon Arthur. Another fight which I don't think is going to be very competitive, really. Bivol, to me, is one of the best fighters around. Very disciplined, great jab, stays behind the jab. He's quick, fast, great skills. You know, it's hard to hit. I think it's going to be a difficult night for Lyndon Arthur, to be honest. But Lyndon Arthur also has good feet, you know, decent speed. I think he'll make it a bit difficult maybe for Bivol, a little bit competitive for the first couple of rounds. But I expect Lyndon Arthur to get hit with something that he doesn't like, and then I expect him to be on his bike, to be honest. And I think it's going to be a question of how quickly Bivol can catch up with Lyndon Arthur and kind of knock him out, you know, because I think he's going to be running. I don't know why, I just get this feeling Lyndon Arthur's going to be running from Bivol. The minute he feels something hard in those exchanges, I think he's going to be running. I question Lyndon Arthur's his determination. I question a lot of things about Lyndon Arthur. I don't think he's that determined. I don't rate him that highly as a boxer, but I'm not trying to say that he's not a good boxer. I think he's a good boxer, you know, but I don't think he's much more than that for some reason. And he's coming up against somebody who's great. I think Bivol's great, so yeah. It's quite obvious who wins that fight. We've got Wilder versus Parker. Now, a lot of people say that that's a foregone conclusion as well with Wilder's power, but really it isn't. This is actually quite a tough fight. Parker is a solid opponent. He's fought a lot of great fighters. He's done well. He's lost against some great fighters. He's won against some great fighters. He has a win over some top fighters like Andy Ruiz. He didn't get knocked out by Anthony Joshua. I think it went the 12 rounds. It was a decision. And he's been in there, man. He's been in there. And I see him getting better, to be honest. I don't question his determination because he has losses against Joe Joyce, Anthony Joshua. Obviously, Joe Joyce was a real brutal knockout. Dillian Whyte, and he still didn't quit or anything like that. He came straight back. He seems like someone like when he loses, he regroups and he comes back better. That's a very good mentality to have, and just a very dangerous opponent. Someone who doesn't get discouraged. He got knocked out by Joe Joyce and he came straight back. He's been beaten, like I said, by Anthony Joshua. He came straight back. And he's had good wins against Chisora, and he's just a solid opponent. Good skills, good head movement, good speed, good power. Deontay Wilder is not going to just run over Parker. And I've seen Wilder speaking, and although Wilder's speaking quite humble, you can see he expects to get rid of Parker quickly. He said within 3 to 4 rounds he would expect it, but he's not going to force it. And that can definitely be the case with Wilder's power. But I wouldn't write Parker off completely. It's not a complete mismatch, as some people are saying. Having said that, I expect Wilder to win. I expect Wilder to catch him with that right hand. As usual, I just expect it to happen. But like I said, Parker's a tricky customer. And he's even more tricky because he's training with the man who beat Wilder a bunch of times, Tyson Fury and Tyson Fury's coaches, so it's going to be tough. It's not going to be as easy as I think Wilder thinks. I don't think he's going to catch Parker as quickly as he caught Helenius, but unfortunately, I do think he is going to catch him, and when he catches him, we all know what happens. It's good night. So I expect Wilder to come through that. Now, this is a tough fight to predict. Dubois versus Miller. Gerald Miller, big baby Gerald Miller. It's a difficult fight, actually, to be honest, because to me, Gerald Miller is a kind of unknown quantity. I don't really know how good he is. I just don't, But when it comes to Miller, there's a lot of things I've got to say about him and his personality, his character, and his chances in the ring. Now, I feel like he is a much better talker than he is a fighter, If you was to watch the press conference, you would think he was some kind of unbeaten, unified champion. The way he was talking, that like he can beat everybody up there, and he's a big guy, and everyone knows how good he is and stuff like that. When in reality, all the things he's saying, he's never backed up, not even once. Never seen any good performance from Miller against any decent opponent. He beat a bunch of journeymen. He struggled a few times when he stepped up against some competition that were a little bit better than journeymen, and this is actually when he was still on the steroids, and then he got busted for the steroids, and since then, he hasn't been able to do anything. Came back, fought someone, bad performance, but he got the win. He's one of these people who he's unbeaten, but he doesn't fill you with any confidence, really, that he's any good to beat the top guys. Having said that, I do think he's quite skilled. He's got some good skills in there. I've seen him do a lot of good things in there defensively. He's a good mover for a big guy. And like I said, he can box. He's got good skills. He doesn't have good power, so I don't know why he's talking as if he's this big power puncher, 300 pounds, demolishing people. I don't see him that kind. I don't know. Let me know if you see him like this. But I don't see Miller as that type of fighter. I don't see him with a lot of power. He's a big guy. He's a strong guy. He uses his strength more in the way of like kind of bullying people, if you see what I mean, like pushing people back against the ropes so that he can land his punches. But I don't see him having any real power. And I think you need power to deter someone like Dubois. I think you would need power. Dubois is not a slow heavyweight. He's a big guy, strong. He's quick. He's a good puncher. As we know, he's a hard puncher. and he's not a headhunter. You know, he will follow up to punches to your body if he can't get your head, which Usyk found out the hard way, and I think Miller's going to find out the hard way as well. Although Miller is going to set a high pace and throw 100 punches around, I don't think with no power, I don't think Dubois is going to be deterred by that. You know, Dubois is going to come forward, throw some hard shots, and I want to be able to see if Miller can really take it. And I like the fact that they've matched him up with someone like Dubois. I think it's the perfect fight for Miller, because if Miller gets obliterated, we can just forget about him. I think we should have just forgotten about him beforehand when he fought all those people on steroids. But I hope that Dubois can get rid of him for good. I think he's trash. I think he speaks trash. He talks about things that he's never done. He acts as if he's this big world beater and he's never beaten anyone. And I would love to see Dubois get rid of him. Got no respect for someone like him at all. Having said that, if Dubois was to lose and if Miller was to beat him, Miller would have my respect for the first time. Because up until now, Miller's done nothing to get anybody's respect. But I think if he could beat someone like Dubois, who I rate quite highly, I think he's in the mix with everyone. I'm not saying that Dubois was this great fighter himself, but he's definitely the acid test. He gives a lot of fighters a good test. He gave Usyk a good test. You know, he's given a lot of fights. He's beaten some good opponents. He's also lost to some opponents. So he's kind of middle of the road. He hasn't, and he's young at the moment. So he's kind of like a prospect, but not the best prospect, if you see what I mean. And Miller hasn't done anything, so that's a perfect matchup. Some people would say 50-50 fight. I don't think it's a 50-50 fight. I think Dubois should win this fight pretty easily. But if Dubois was to lose, I feel like he's too young for me to say Dubois' career is over, but it will be a massive upset, I feel. And I think like his career would take a nosedive if he was to get beaten by Miller, because that would be 3 losses, and he shouldn't be losing to someone like Miller. Miller hasn't done anything, you know. Dubois has fought countless fighters in the top 10, top 15, top 20, you know, been a champion in his time so far, and he is a young fighter. He's done quite a lot, you know. What has Miller done? Nothing. So I think it's a good fight, but I do think ultimately Dubois comes through that. Now, the interesting thing is they spoke to Wilder in an interview, and although Wilder rated Dubois as a good fighter, he thinks that Miller actually would be likely to beat Dubois. So it's interesting. It's split a lot of people, not just casual fans, actual boxers or professionals. They think that Miller may win. Some people think Dubois might win. So you could say it's competitive for that reason. I feel like Dubois should win, but that could go either way. We have Kabayel versus Makhmudov. Makhmudov is the big 6-foot-something Russian guy who's been destroying fighters so far. Kabayel, I would say, has got his work cut out. He's a good boxer. I've seen him fight. He's a decent boxer, and he's got a few knockouts himself. But this Makhmudov is just, you know, a mammoth of a man. Very, very physical. Very physical. You know, it's not going to be easy at all. I'm not sure who's going to win that, but Makhmudov has looked good. A little bit sloppy, but he's looked good. And he's definitely got punching power. And at heavyweight, that's very, very dangerous. That can take you very far. We've also got so many fighters. I've lost count how many people are fighting on this card. I mentioned Bivol, yeah. We've got the cruiserweight champion, Opetaia, fighting Zorro. Now, Zorro, I've seen a few fights with him, kind of up-and-coming type of fighter. Haven't seen anything special, unfortunately, in Zorro. He's no better or worse than the last person that Opetaia obliterated, and I don't really see this fight going any differently, unfortunately, for Zorro. Opetaia is a real sensation. I think he's a good fighter, very explosive, got great skills. I don't see Zorro matching that. I don't see anyone in the cruiserweight division matching the skills of Opetaya at the moment. So, you know, I feel like that's an easy win. And yeah, I mean, I think I've probably missed out a few fights. There's so many fights on this card. But in general, like I said, although it is a good card and there are some amazing fighters, it does seem to be quite predictable. They could have made a more competitive matchups, I would say, you know, because as it stands, it's pretty easy to predict who's going to win most of the fights. But like I said, there are some that are competitive. I think the possible banana skins, Jarrell Miller and Dubois. Miller may be a banana skin for Dubois, I feel. Joshua and Walling. Walling may be a banana skin for Joshua, but I haven't really seen anything that would suggest that. Although Walling did come off a good performance, his last performance, I don't think it's going to be enough to beat Joshua. Wilder and Parker. Parker can definitely do it, you know, but that fight could be a banana skin for Wilder. Other than that, all the other fights I think are quite straightforward, to be honest. But let me know what you think. I'm still excited to watch it. I feel like after this, we will really see some fights. And obviously, if Wilder and Joshua both come through those fights, then we're going to see them fight each other next, definitely. And that's going to be fireworks. And the same goes for some of these other fights as well. Filip Hrgović also has the chance to kind of get his name in the mix as well. He's kind of there and there or thereabout, as they say. You know, he had a good win. Well, not controversial. I would say it was quite a close fight, but he had a good win over Zhang. But I think it was quite close, but it's still a win. So Hrgović has got his name in the hat as well. And yeah, I think this is a good eliminator. It's a good eliminator. Whoever comes through this is really in the mix and has a shout at fighting the top two heavyweights at the moment, which is Tyson Fury and Usyk. So whoever comes out of this, these fights, is kind of one step closer to you know, really becoming a champion or having a shot at a title or something, you know. But I think it's pretty straightforward. Just to recap, I think Joshua beats Walling. I think Sanchez beats Farr. I think Hrgović beats Demori. I think Wilder beats Parker, but I think it might be a good fight. I think Dubois beats Miller. I think Makhmudov beats Caballero. Opetaya beats Zorro. Bivol beats Arthur. I've probably missed somebody, but it seems quite straightforward. Now, there must be a banana skin here somewhere. Let me know what you think. Who do you think is going to be the banana skin? Who do you think is going to lose? What do you think of this Day of Reckoning event? I'm on to the next one. Man, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment. Feel free to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing a lot more of a similar nature.